every highly requested training video or video webinar, whatever, I just get a lot of our Industry Select users are always asking for information on email marketing and where to go, how to start. And I'm so happy to collaborate with Mailshake, who's awesome. Maggie, Mailshake Megs, is awesome as well. So let me just get into a quick introduction for you guys who don't know me. My name is Katie. I'm with Manufacturers News and Industry Select. I've been with the company now for about 10 years doing training for all of our new Industry Select users, and I came to M&I as a customer. I worked for a fastener supplier, and I did all their lead generation. So built lists, made cold calls, scheduled appointments for outside salespeople, and Industry Select is what I use there. I have 16 years of lead generation experience under my belt. So yeah, this is right up my alley. And so I love M&I. I love Industry Select. I'm so happy to show you guys how everything works. And then I just want to introduce you guys to Maggie with Mailshake, who's going to take it from here. And we're just going to work together on getting you guys all the information you need to be the most successful in your cold email marketing. Thanks, awesome. Maggie.
Yeah, of course. So I feel like with the names coming in the chat, I don't know a lot of you. So I am Maggie. You can call me Mailshake or Mag since I work at Mailshake. But I've been with Mailshake for about 2 years. I've been in sales for about 4.5 or 5, I think it is now. So yeah, I'm excited to talk with you a little bit about, information I used to not know when I first started in sales. I didn't know that there was a place where you could build lists to contact people. I also didn't know that there was tools to help you with cold email. So I'm excited to share that information with you. So, this is just information I wish I would have given myself 5 years ago, but I'm happy to share it with you all today. But yeah, I am just going to go through a couple of housekeeping things, the norm of when you're starting these webinars. But basically, we have Q&A. It should be on the right, like where everyone's been chatting. There's also a place to ask questions. So definitely feel free to ask questions. We're going to leave some time at the end to go through those. I may even start answering some during it if it's applicable, but we'll definitely get to your questions all at the end. So yeah, feel free. And we'll also have a few questions that we ask during it that we'd love to have you participate in and talk about. And yeah, just to set up the agenda. So I know I talked about Q&A that is coming all the way at the end, but first, Katie's going to be doing a walkthrough of Industry Select. So how you grab your list of the people that you do want to reach out to. Then I'll be going over some questions, a cold email overview of what it is and what it isn't. And then we'll get into the platform of Mailshake, how you can easily automate the process once you get your list from Industry Select. And then we'll just go over some general best practices and then wrap up the whole call with some Q&A. So yeah, that's the agenda there. Not too much to go through. And we're just, going to try to help you out with getting more leads a quicker amount of time. So Katie, do you want to take it from there and share your screen?
Sure. Let me share my screen. All right. So for those of you who are already familiar with Industry Select, this is normal for you. For those who aren't familiar with Industry Select, this is just what it looks like when you're a user and you log into your account. The two main functions that you use in Industry Select is perform a search and build a list. The difference between the two of those there is that perform a search is allowing you to look up one company that you already know exists and then bring up their profile and do more research on them. As where build a list is where you're going to be using your own criteria to bring back a list of companies that have met your needs. So I'm just going to come over here into build a list, and Maggie has already given me a list of criteria that she wants me to use for a list, and I'm just going to show you how that works. So here we are in build a list, and in geography, this is where we're targeting the specific geography that we want to do business with. Maggie wanted me to look up the Chicago metro area, so I will pull that over. And then my company count changed up here, so I'm at almost 18,000 companies here. And then she doesn't have any specific industries that she wants to focus on, but if there were industries you wanted to focus on, you certainly could here. We're going to move on to size. She has said that she's looking at companies that have between 100 and 500 employees, so I'm going to pull that over. And then the executive level, she has specifically requested sales functions, so I'm going to come down here to sales and add that over. And the advanced tab has other cool little things you can, tweak those companies themselves. You can go through these on your own time, or, we can talk later as well. And then my criteria just is reviewing everything I've entered in. I have 633 companies that met my 3 criteria. And then my list is just found here underneath my list. So now when this initial list shows up here, I can sort by any of these headers to help me work through my list easier. But we're going to export this list and put it onto a CSV file where I'm going to be able to give it to Maggie to use in Mailshake to do an email marketing campaign. So I'm just going to click here on export. And then I'm going to choose here how I want to sort my records. And I'm going to choose to sort it just by state. It doesn't really matter to me how it's sorted. I want to have it as an Excel file or a CSV. And then instead of doing 1 record per company, I'm going to choose 1 record per executive. And then I'm going to export all executives. She doesn't need any of this information here. And then I'm just going to export the list. So then you have this here. If I click on this, it just opens up that file for me to look at. And then I can cut out any information here that I don't need or want and save it, work out of it again, whatever. But through the magic of television, I have already sent this over to Maggie, so she has it. So that is as far as we're going to go in IndustrySelect. And then we are going to turn it over to Maggie to show us Mailshake, what to do from here.
Yeah, awesome. So super easy process. Like I said, I wish I knew a lot of this information 5 years ago when I first started in sales, because I used to prospect on Google Maps and it took forever. So I would go on Google Maps, I actually reached out to manufacturers, distributors. I was in the waste and recycling industry, and it would take forever. And I had no lead list to go off of. I just did that. And yeah, this is the fact that I, know something like that now is just like magic, that I can, build a list that quickly and then take it over to Mailshake. So I know we're going back and forth and sharing our screen. So let me just go back to sharing my screen. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. I thought I had it where it was going here. Perfect. Awesome. So can everyone see my screen?
Nope.
There we go. I think it just...
There it is.
Awesome. So you have your list. Now what? So Katie went through an awesome explanation of, building that list with IndustrySelect, how easy it can be. You just put in your criteria, and you have that right away. And so now what do you do with it? So, do you go through that list, reach out to people manually? Do you use an email platform like Mailshake? And that's what we'll go through today, because that first process, Katie made it seem really seamless. It can be seamless after that too. It doesn't mean you have to go through that list and, reach out to everyone individually. That would take a long time. So I'm going to talk with you a little bit about how Mailshake can speed up that process and some best practices when you're dealing with a cold list like that from IndustrySelect. So, but before we get into there, I do just want to ask the crowd, so who is, just we're curious here, who's selling into the manufacturing or energy industries? So if you could answer in the chat A, B, C, or D, that would be super, super helpful. Awesome. Yeah, thanks. We're getting some quick, answers in there. Wow. Okay, we're
wow, you guys are awesome.
Yeah, you are awesome for
boom. Me shall receive.
Sweet. Awesome. So yeah, we'll just wait a couple more seconds there. Perfect. I think it's slowing down there. So yeah, we're just curious about that. And then the next thing, I do have some, cold email questions. So we built your list. Some of you on this call have maybe already been getting your list from IndustrySelect and doing cold email. So I'm just curious, up until this point, what's your cold email open rate, if that's something that you track right now? So, A, B, C, or D. So are you in the 1 to 20%, 21 to 40% range, 41 to 53, or 53 or higher? And if you're not sure, no big deal. Awesome. Getting some A's in there.
I'm not sure. I don't know what my open rate is.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. With something we'll talk about. We have some E's in there, so not sure. E's and A's are the majority, and then I think we had a B in there somewhere and a D. I think Shelly, were you the one that said D? Wow, you're getting a 53% plus open rate.
Well, we're going to talk to you later.
Yeah. Maybe you should share some tips on here. That was the earlier question. Sorry, Shelly. I was worried about that. Okay, so now I kind of understand where the cutoff is.
We thought maybe we had to have you leading this whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. No, that's okay. So we have some A's in there. We also have some E's, so some not sure's. When I first started doing cold email, I had no clue what my open rate was. I, didn't pay attention to it. I didn't think it mattered, but it does matter. And we'll talk about why that does matter. So, okay. So then on to our third question here. Give me 1 second. What's your cold email click-through rate? So is it A, less than 2%, B, 2 to 5%, C, 5 to 9, or D, 10 or over? Or if you're not sure, again, totally fine. Okay, so we have the E's in there. So yeah, we're getting a lot of E's on there. And then we have an A. Gotcha. So yeah, it's okay to not know that, right now. That's something that Mailshake can help with, because not only do we want to help you send out cold emails, we also want to know, what kind of results are you getting from it? Because that's what's going to help you test it more. Should I change my subject line if I'm not getting a good open rate? Are there other underlying factors of why I'm not getting a good open rate? And then my click-through rate, am I having an engaging call to action that people want to click on? And it seems like, Kimberly has a 10% plus click-through rate. So awesome job, Kimberly. For those of you who don't know, or I saw some A's in there, we can talk a little bit about how to improve that, and and how we can report on that too, if you're not sure. So cool. Thanks for the participation. That was awesome. I was, actually surprised. Thank you all for chatting that in there. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up and to see where everyone was at is I want to talk to you a little bit about cold email, open rates, why they're important, click-through rates, and why they're important as well. So these are industry standard metrics of average open, click, and conversion rates. So the average open rate and a good open rate of what you want to be getting would be around 22.5 to 53% open rate. That is a good open rate. You want to be in that range. If you're anything higher than 53%, that's awesome. You're doing a superb job. But you really do want to get in that range, because the news is 20% or lower could actually mean that you're ending up in spam. And, it could be from a number of things. It could be the content you're putting in your emails. It could be, the reputation of your email address or your domain. And that's what Mailshake can definitely help with here. We do help our customers, guide them in getting a better open rate. So we have a lot of tools built in our software that will help do that. But we also have a whole team that runs trainings about how to get a good open rate. And those happen 3 times a week. So we have a lot of help with that, because like I mentioned, that was something I wasn't even tracking. And then when I did start tracking it, I was getting less than 20% open rate when I was in SDR. And I didn't even think that was a bad thing. I thought it just had to do with I didn't know how to write cold email. But you could be writing good cold email. It could be your email account. So we'll go through that as well. And then a good click-through rate would be anywhere between 2 to 5%. And then anything over that would be great. So you'd be rocking it if you had it over than that, which I think Kimberly said she had. And then your conversion rate. So meaning when you're sending out these cold emails, how are those leads actually converting? That, like a good one there, would be about 15%, or obviously anything higher. But these are some, industry standard rates here, and something Mailshake definitely, really wants to help you out with too. But cool. And I think we've had some questions in here. Okay, awesome. Thanks for going through those, Katie. I think I saw you answer those. But okay, so to now talk about Mailshake. So Mailshake is a cold email automation platform where you can do, cold emails. So once you get that list from IndustrySelect, you can bring it over to Mailshake, and we help with automating your cold outreach. So sending automated emails, doing automatic follow-ups, which we'll get into, but I just kind of want to go through what Mailshake isn't. So, MailChimp is kind of like a name we hear all the time. I feel like I've been hearing that since I was in, high school, because I would probably sign up for things that, was part of a newsletter, and I'd get emails with MailChimp stamped at the bottom of that. But we're definitely not MailChimp. A lot of our customers actually use Mailshake and MailChimp alongside each other. MailChimp, Constant Contact, anyone in that kind of realm, and they're usually called email marketing tools. They're for your customers or people that have opted in to get your emails. So they have branding, they can have really nice, fancy type marketing emails. But those are really for people that, you're communicating with current customers or people that are interested in signing up for your newsletter and learning more. So we're not them. And we're also not opt-in marketing. So this is really for your cold list, a list that you could get off of IndustrySelect, upload right into Mailshake. And then it's not for your customer communication. It really is for that lead outreach. Again, not fancy type marketing emails. We want to make this look one-to-one, which we'll get into as well. And it is not an email relay. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But these are what Mailshake is not. And then what Mailshake is. So we are a cold email platform. So like I mentioned, so not for your customers, not those people that have opted in, but really for that list from IndustrySelect that you can search that criteria, and it's the first time you're probably reaching out to them. And you're sending from your own email address. So one of the first steps, which we'll go through, is you're going to be connecting with your Microsoft Google account or your own custom SMTP to actually send out emails with Mailshake. So that means that there's not going to be any branding on it. So there's not going to be any stamp that says, this is powered by Mailshake. It's just going to look like you sent a one-off email. Like you took one email address from that list, sent it off, and it, appears right in their inbox, hopefully, which we'll talk about those open rates, but you'll see it right in your sent box too. And yeah, so that one-to-one outreach, and then it is meant for developing those relationships. So I like to think of MailChimp as after you've already established that relationship and trust, they've already opted in to get your emails. Mailshake is before, when you're really trying to build that relationship. But awesome. Yeah, anything else to add to that, Katie? Any comments or questions that we're getting in here?
I'm just glad that you mentioned that it's not an email relay. That's really important to know. And that I'm also glad that you mentioned the differences between like what Mailshake does and what MailChimp does, because one is opt-in and one is for cold emails. And that's really what we're doing here, is we're trying to do cold email marketing.
Yeah. And, they're both very powerful. I think they both can coincide with each other. MailChimp is really good for that opt-in email accounts that you have, but that's kind of a later relationship or people that are seeking out more information, whereas IndustrySelect and getting that list in Mailshake is for developing that to begin with. Mm-hmm. But so leading up to that, I know I've mentioned Mailshake, and we've already seen IndustrySelect. I am excited to walk you through, what to do after you get that list. So we talked about open rate best practices, click-through rate best practices. I'm going to dive into those a little bit deeper on here. So I am going to share my other tab here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm sharing multiple screens here, so I'm just trying to get it all right. Perfect. Sweet. So you all should be able to see that. And it looks like Molly actually had something that came in here. So Mailshake helps initiate the relationship. And then once they are in your ecosystem, they can move into a MailChimp campaign. So Mailchimp is still going to want you, great question, Molly, but Mailchimp is still going to want you to get them to opt in on their platform. So if they're already like a customer or you've already done business with them, that's an okay time to get them into a Mailchimp campaign. You still want to ask Mailchimp a few questions about that, about like what their regulations are. But that would kind of like be once you have a customer or someone express that they want to opt into your Mailchimp campaign and get your monthly newsletter. So
Maggie, can we keep using Mailshake and skip over Mailchimp? Can we continue to use Mailshake even if we've established a relationship?
So Yeah, I mean, you could still use Mailshake when you establish a relationship. Like, for example, we use it for communicating with certain customers. But if you really are trying to do it more of a newsletters type, email, MailChimp has really great software to do that. So MailChimp and Constant Contact, where you can do fancier HTML style emails, Mailshake is really going to be for that one-to-one looking outreach. And it'll make a little bit more sense once we go through it and you'll take a look at it.
Okay.
But yeah, good question.
John wants to know if you can put videos or GIFs inside of these emails and other personalization, which is a great question because I updated my signature and I have Christmas logos now. So I'd love to know that too.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in just a second here.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll talk about that in the best practice there. But great questions because it's leading up for the right time for me to show that. But one important thing I just want to reiterate again is you are going to be connecting with your own email account. So this is where it's going to look like that one-to-one email. It's not going to have that stamp at the end that says, this is powered by Mailshake or anything like that. So you'll see these emails in your sent box. And if anyone gets back to you over email, replies back to you, that'll show up right in your inbox as well. So yeah, that's just kind of the housekeeping of there. And then we are going to start that campaign with Katie's list. So I'm going to start a new campaign. That's kind of like where the essence of everything comes with Mailshake. So we'll say Industry Select here. I'm, sending from my Google account like I connected there. And then I'm going to drop in that list of contacts that Katie was so nice to share with me. So I'm going to download it as a CSV, which it already downloads from IndustrySelect that way. And I'm going to upload it right into here. So give me 1 second. Oh, I think I downloaded too large of a file. So give me 1 second.
I like how you can drag and drop in there.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here.
I'm going to check some chats.
Yeah.
Okay, I keep getting this one question, so I just want to cover it right away. Mailshake and IndustrySelect are two separate platforms. They're two separate services. IndustrySelect just recommends Mailshake. Mailshake works very well for what we offer for our lists. And again, we're just here to help you learn how to better do your cold email marketing. But yeah, they are completely separate. At the end, there will be a discount for you guys when you for Mailshake. So if you stay to the end, you can get your little code for that, I believe.
Yeah, it'll be a promotion that we'll go through that'll have some things in there. But yeah, just give me 1 second here. So yeah, we have uploaded a list here. So we had that criteria that came in from IndustrySelect. So and I just kind of shortened it. So I always recommend spending some time in that IndustrySelect list, figure out what's going to be important to you, what you want to have in there, what you might not want to have in there when you're doing your cold outreach. A lot of it's all important to look at from a glance, but when you're actually ready to do your outreach, you might want to have specific criteria. So feel free to kind of look at that beforehand and spend some time with that list before you bring it over to Mailshake. And so, yeah, we'll just select all those. I'll import those prospects. So this is the list that we uploaded from, you're just dragging and dropping it from IndustrySelect over here. But yeah, it is important to spend some time in there. I always like to see, what's going to be important, like what I'm going to put in the email. I always like to reference people's industry or their company, and you can do that pretty easily with Mailshake over here. But it's just taking a second to process that. And then the nice thing is we're going to check for things like that might be on your unsubscribe list or might be duplicates that are in other campaigns here. And then we're going to have an area to clean that list as well. So, that's just a double check to make sure that those are active email addresses. And you can do that all right here within Mailshake. But cool. So we dragged and dropped our list from IndustrySelect. Now we want to start writing out some emails. So the communication that we're going to have with this list over here. So I can compose my message right here from scratch. So write out the emails. It's going to be pretty similar to if you were writing it out with Microsoft 365 or Gmail. So nothing too complicated there, but I'm actually going to show you, a recommended sequence that I created for this call here. So I'm going to just select the sequence. This is a template that I've saved before I actually was starting to do some A/B tests with that. So we'll just delete that out there, which you can do A/B testing, which we'll walk through as well. But this is my campaign. So what industry and resources say out there, the industry standard is to use about 9 to 11 touch points. So that might be 9 to 11 emails. It might be 9 to 11 mixture of emails and phone calls to actually get a warm lead. So that means you shouldn't just end with, you get your list from IndustrySelect, you send out one email and you're done from there. You should have a follow-up process in here, and that's what Mailshake is going to help out with here. And so when you actually are writing out the emails, we'll have suggestions for you on subject lines. We have templates in here and a whole team that can help you out with that too. And it's already giving me feedback. It's saying your subject line should be shorter and it should be more engaging. And so one subject line I really, really like is when I tell someone, hey, I have a quick question for you. So I would put that in the subject line. It's pretty short, pretty engaging there. It kind of gets people to look at it. And I don't even capitalize anything at it because I want to make it seem like that one-to-one communication that I'm sending over to someone. So, and then of course, using things to personalize these emails, like someone's first name, we can insert that. That's coming right from our IndustrySelect name column. So IndustrySelect gives you all those columns like name, industry, company, the executives there, their email addresses. So those inserts will show up all right there for you, and you can put them right in the email to personalize it. So I think it was going back to John's questions, can you personalize the emails? That's how you do it. So it would grab everyone's name in there. And then just a couple other housekeeping things with cold email, your opening line in the email should tie back into the subject line. And you can also personalize it even a little bit more. So if you want to reference their company name or their area, and then the middle part in between here, that's where I would use that space to add value for your leads. So maybe you're alluding to your prospect's pain and like what's one area of your business of how you can help them solve it. So like for an example with something like Mailshake is people don't want to write out, 100 or 1,000 different emails one by one to make them look like they're, conversational, where Mailshake does that automatically. So maybe I can allude into the pain of like, hey, does it take you forever to write cold emails? We have a solution for you where you can do that and follow up. And then what you do want to finish with in cold email is a call to action. So something like as simple as, hey, reply back here if you're interested, and you can do that all right there. But that's the first email. So when you get that list from IndustrySelect, let's say like the 2000 that, Katie had downloaded, we can just upload it to here and they're all going to get that first email from you. But it doesn't just end there. So that's the first email, some structure pieces that, I recommend for getting good engagement there. But over here, I want to do a follow-up 5 days later in this. And this is maybe where I can focus on your value, your number 2 value proposition. So how can you, help out your customers or your leads in a different way here? So your service probably has a few different value propositions. Don't mention them all in one email. That's what these follow-ups are for. I know, I laugh because I used to do that. But it's
how do you pick one?
Yeah, I know. But that's why you get to pick one for each email. That's the awesome part of it. You don't have to, pick
Just keep going
choose.
through.
Exactly.
Cool.
And then you can also still do those personalization tokens in here, like their industry or their company. And, 4 days later, maybe I want to do a phone call, and you can do a phone call right here from Mailshake, which I can go through that as well. But, you have your email sending out, a phone call. We have another email here. And the way that this will work is those emails are going to go out automatically, and those follow-ups will up until your leads respond. So once someone responds from that IndustrySelect list and they say, hey, I'm interested, you told me to reply back, that automatically takes them out of the sequence, and it'll show up right in your email account, in your inbox. So you don't even have to jump back into Mailshake if you don't want to. And that will be just something that you can set up once from the beginning, like this template I have here, and let that play out where that just keeps sending over to those contacts. And, you're just waiting for those replies. So you can really kind of set it and forget it when you upload that list here into Mailshake. But yeah, and you can keep adding to it. So, I can keep adding follow-ups. There's going to be reminders in Mailshake for you to make a phone call, because email, I love cold email. I can talk about it all day. And if you take a look at my LinkedIn account, I talk about cold email a lot on there, but you want to diversify it. Maybe not all your leads are going to respond to your emails right away. Maybe some are more prone to answer a phone call from you. So that's where, when you use those 9 to 11 touches, don't have them be just 9 to 11 emails that you're sending over to them. Have a reminder to make a phone call or connect with them on LinkedIn. But I'm just going to take a breather here. I saw some questions come here. So John, you had a really good question just to start out with that I told you I'd go back to. Can you use videos or GIFs to embed in the emails? You can use videos. And this is where we'll talk a little bit about deliverability. So actually, let me go over to this email over here. You can use videos over here with a tool called Vidyard. So you can record a video right from here.
I love Vidyard. I just started using it. It is awesome. It's so fun.
Super easy. Yeah. You can record a video of yourself. Super fun. You can have, yourself sharing the screen there or just on you. So you can add videos. The one thing I just want to mention, John, is videos. I wouldn't put it over in the first cold email that you're sending over. That could have a chance to get into the spam folder. You want to make sure the first email you send to someone is really plain text, not a lot of links, images, videos. And we'll also give you reminders about that here. So this email, I'm using a lot of spammy content that I shouldn't be, like the word free or guarantee. I'm using too many links, so I have 2 in there. You probably should use less than that. But yeah, that's really, we're going to give you some tips on that, but you can use video in here. Just want to put it later down after, maybe a few emails have gone out to them. And then let's see here. We also said, so how is Mailshake different than Connect 365? So I am not super familiar with Connect 365. Katie, do you know much about Connect 365?
Actually, when that question came up, I Googled them. I didn't know about them either. So I don't know. Maybe we can learn together.
Yeah. And that's something, I can always answer that offline. What might be different and how we're mostly different from some other emailing platforms out there is we do connect with your email account. So these are sent over your servers, not our own. So these are going to look more one-to-one than most email platforms out there.
It says Connect 365 is a client attraction and sales automation tool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
I don't know if it is a cold email one or not.
Yeah, I can look into it later and give you some, information about that, Jennifer. But yeah, so are there laws or regulations regarding email cold calling? So yeah, there definitely are, Bradley. Great question. So in general, Mailshake is cold email compliant. There are a few resources, and I'll get to that a little bit later, that we're going to send over to you today, because it does come down to your messaging. What you're putting in your messaging, you want to make sure you're not like selling in your emails directly. You want to make sure that you're starting a conversation there. So yeah, we will send over some more information about that as well. And it is being recorded, Stephen and Molly.
Okay, so somebody was asking if Mailshake could take the place of a CRM program such as Act or HubSpot or something. I don't think you have all the functions, but there are some cool functions that have been added and will be added, right?
Yeah, so we definitely still recommend that you use a CRM, or if you have a CRM, to use it. The way I like to think of it is you're getting your cold list from IndustrySelect. So those are people you've never contacted before. And Mailshake is that placeholder right on top of your CRM, where you are sending out emails, you're doing cold calls to make sure that, they're interested or not. So once they become a warm lead and they reply, that's where I recommend, and we have integrations with CRMs that I can send over more information about later, but that's where we recommend to take that conversation. Once you get a warm lead and someone raises their hand and says they're interested, so that first engagement you get back with them, that's where I recommend taking that over to your CRM.
And I can tell you that in all the years that I've used CRMs, that is exactly how I have always taught people how to use it. And I've always been taught how to use it. And probably a best practice is not even putting anything into a CRM until it's actually an interested prospect, somebody who's interested. Don't bog down your CRM with stuff like that.
Yep. You took the words right out of my mouth. Exactly. You don't want to bog down your CRM. You only want your interested folks in there because IndustrySelect is giving you a good, bigger list and you can create different lists. You don't want to spend your whole day organizing your CRM. That's what Mailshake is here to really sit on top of that and only push over your interested leads. But awesome. Yeah. So just to continue, Molly, the other question that you had in there that I just want to get to before we continue, text integration, that is something that's going to be coming in 2022. So stay tuned for SMS and text messages there. But awesome.
Very cool.
So yeah, we created this campaign here. We talked about you can add reminders to make a phone call or connect with people on LinkedIn or even have that email right in there. And the cool thing is you can do A and B testing right here. So we talked about open rates. We have a lot of information about like deliverability that can help out here with open rates. But you can also test out subject lines. So you can copy this exact segment we had right here and copy that right over. So I have like a duplicate copy and I'm going to shorten that subject line because Mailshake told me to. So I'll say quick question and we can compare these side by side with our reporting. So we have our campaign ready to go. We're going to A and B test some copy, see which one's working better for us. And then all we have to do from here is we can personalize the emails a little bit more if we want to. So if we want to write it out for a specific person. But the cool thing is we see John's name right in there because we put his first name in there from those columns in IndustrySelect. And then right over here, I'm just going to send off this email campaign. So all we did, we named the people we're reaching out to. We added our prospects right in there. We started that sequence of the emails we wanted to send out. And then all we have to do is just start it right from there. And that was just one campaign. So like just one of the criteria that Katie made for me in IndustrySelect, and I grabbed that list and wrote that message just for them. But you can have as many campaigns as you'd like with Mailshake. So there might be different steps in your sales process where you'll want it, or different criteria that you search for in IndustrySelect. So that's just one. And I'll show you right over here, one and some reporting that you'll get with Mailshake as well. So if I open up my sequence over here, give me 1 second. Perfect. This is an A and B test that we had set up here. And I am getting right here my open rate. So 46% open rate, 28% right here. So it looks like that was my winning subject line when I did an A and B test. And I'm seeing my open click reply rate for every single email that I'm sending out here. So the health of your campaigns right from here. You're not left in the dark. So for a lot of those that answered E, like they didn't know what their open rate was or their click-through rate, you're going to have all of that transparency right here. And if you feel like your open rate is not as good as you want it, that's where we have those trainings. So to help with deliverability, stay out of the spam folder and just get tips of like how to do cold email and get better at it as well. But sweet. So yeah, that is, that process. So the handoff Katie gave me from IndustrySelect, uploading that list here. And, you can see the natural progression. I started out with 250 prospects over here. As people replied, they're taking, they're getting out of the sequence and the rest of the people in here are getting emails from me. So this number here is getting smaller and smaller. And I know I mentioned a little bit about how you can make calls from here. So if you wanted to, you can have phone calls, you can connect with people on social media. So right over here, I can start a phone call so that I had that one reminder in there to make one. Right here with
how were you reminded of those phone calls real quick? Somebody was asking you, it fits perfect.
Yeah. So they're going to show up right here. I think I paused that campaign and a phone call wasn't my first step, but it would show up right here. So it'd be a reminder and they'd show up right under here saying I'd have to make a phone call over to that person. So if I clicked in here to John, it's going to show, oh, perfect. Here's a perfect example. So John, it says, I have a phone call. I have my script right here. John, do you have 5 minutes? I'd open that up and I can make the phone call right from here with a voice over IP dialer.
Okay, so all of the reminders are inside Mailshake. They're not like coming up on your alerts and in your calendar or anything.
Yep,
they're all in here. Okay, good.
They come up all in here because again, this is where you are going to be fishing out. You know, this is that you want to get your first engagement with them, and then once you do get on the phone with them, you can take that conversation right over to your CRM.
Mm-hmm. That's when you start documenting. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But cool. So yeah, we went over the process, getting that list, the reporting, how you can make phone calls in here. You know, I just wanted to give you a bird's eye view of what Mailshake could do. If, you know, anyone has any more questions or wants to learn about it more in depth, we're going to give you resources of how you could do that. You can always head over to our website and book a demo right from there. But I know we have some good resources to send over to you after this as well. And awesome.
Likewise with IndustrySelect, if anybody here is interested in hearing more about IndustrySelect, seeing a full overview, I do them every Wednesday at 1:00 Central Time. I can do one-offs as well, or with a group, whatever you guys need, I'm happy to help out there. We have some really good questions coming in, Maggie.
Yeah. So let's take a look at it. So Molly, do you have turnkey services where Mailshake can build campaigns for you? So we have trainings. They happen 3 times a week where our team won't build those campaigns for you, but they'll review any campaigns that you build. So if you have like a, if you have a like campaign you want to try out or some email copy, we'll be able to review it for you, give you some edits that you can work off of. But we do work with contractors where they can actually help build out that campaign for you. So, and that's more information we can send over, Molly, if you want to get on a conversation with me. And Ron, you know, bird's eye view, what is the cost? So it does start at $59 a month. I can send over more, we'll send over more information about pricing, but that's where it does start at $59 from there. And then I think we have some other questions.
I was just looking in the question box. I wasn't looking in the chat box.
Gotcha. No, you're fine. So does Mailshake have an embedded voice over IP dialer, or do you need your own? Nope, we have our own. So we give you a number. You can record calls with our dialer as well. So we'll give you that. And then when a phone call is set up as a follow-up, how are you notified? So yep, you'll be notified right in Mailshake in your open tasks. And then let's see here, John. So how does Mailshake compare with Snowbio? It includes a light CRM, I believe. So I'm not super familiar with Snowbio, but you know, I believe it's a cold email platform. Ours, I'd say, you know, how Mailshake compares, it's pretty simple to use, easy to get set up, really easy to just drag that list over from IndustrySelect. Whereas I feel like if you use Snowbio, you may have to use their contact data, but I'm not exactly sure, John. And then we have, oh, sorry, what was that?
That's something new for me. I never even heard of Snowbio either. So this is finding new stuff as I sit here.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys.
So, yeah. And then do you suggest that one person manage the Mailshake process, or can individual salespeople manage their own cold calling process? So that is, Candy, that is totally up to your team. We have teams that do both. Like maybe someone on marketing comes in here and writes all the content for the sales team, and the same sales team executes on their calls and LinkedIn outreach. Or if you want to give the freedom to your sales reps to write their own emails, then they can totally manage it that way. But that is, you know, up to you and your team and how you want to get it set up there. And then
so Ron is one of my users. He's an IndustrySelect user, and he's asking. He has a basic version, and he will need to upgrade to an exportable version. The cost, I can't tell you the difference in the cost, Ron, because I don't know what database you have and you know how much it costs or anything. But I can definitely get with you afterwards. But with IndustrySelect, in order to do this process the way that we have just shown you, you're going to need to have the premium version. The reason reason why is because the premium version not only allows you to have access to the direct executive email addresses, but then they are exportable. So those are the two things you need to be able to move this on to something like Mailshake. So you're going to have premium to do that. Definitely get with you later on to go over the increase in cost, or have your account exec get in touch with you about that. But that's a great question. I appreciate it. And Jennifer is asking if you can have multiple users in one account. I'm not sure if she's asking about Mailshake or IndustrySelect, but for IndustrySelect, you have one username and one password, and you can add on seats to that. And they are at like a 10% or less of what you paid. It's like a 90% or more discount for seats. So they're very minimal prices for the seats. But as far as Mailshake, can you answer that one?
Yeah, so you can have multiple users in one account. So like you can have your whole team in one account, but it is going to be a price per user, which that information is all on our website, and we can send some more details out after. But cool. So we have a couple more things, on the agenda here. So just kind of going over, I wanted to answer some questions about the actual platform of Mailshake. So just kind of it flowed there, but really the three keys to successful outreach is getting that value up front with your lead. So you're leading with that value that the recipient gets. So I talked about that, your company or your service or product might have a few different, value propositions. Don't put those all in the same email, but each email should lead with it. So how can you help, that recipient get value? How can you, and maybe that's, referencing other people that you've helped out too, personalizing your emails. So luckily IndustrySelect gives you really great data that you can use to personalize emails in Mailshake. And then you can diversify those outreach steps. So not only are you sending emails, but you're also making phone calls from Mailshake, and you can be connecting on LinkedIn too. And yep, so I did answer that question earlier. It came at the right time when we were actually writing out those emails. So what about email laws? And this is super important because we want all of our customers to be compliant, but Mailshake in general is compliant. It really comes to the content that you're putting in your emails. So we're going to send over some resources after this about how you can stay compliant when doing cold email. And yeah, super important. So what about deleting email addresses? So for those of you who have talked with Katie before and work with IndustrySelect, you know that IndustrySelect requires you to delete the email addresses after a year if there's no contact. And Mailshake offers a really easy way to do this. So you can, search a date range and actually delete those contacts out of there. And yeah, just to wrap this up, we went through the process today, but it's very simple. Mailshake IndustrySelect equals winning cold emails. You're getting that quality data from IndustrySelect already. You can upload it right away into Mailshake, automate that cold outreach with Mailshake. And, so it's one thing that you can really just set and forget. Our team can help you out with, revising your messaging. And it's really allowing you to book more meetings, generate more revenue in a quicker amount of time. So you're not like the SDR I used to be, who used to prospect and find leads off of Google Maps. You're getting that from IndustrySelect, and you weren't writing emails one by one or follow-up emails one by one. It's all going to be pretty automated for you in here. And then once someone actually says they're interested, that's where you'll take it over to your CRM.